Fox 5 News at noon starts right now.
Hurricane Milton plowed ashore with powerful winds and dangerous storm surge. That storm surge has caused widespread flooding, and South Dayton crews have spent the morning rescuing people from flooded homes. And in Clearwater, rescuers evacuated people from a flooded apartment complex. Just take a look at how high the water is. People using boats to get around, and in some cases, the water is almost up to the roof on cars. Milton also spawned powerful tornadoes, including this one that took down a building in St. Lucie County. It was the sheriff's office there. Parts of it landed on top of deputies' cars. Crews are still assessing damage all across the state, but there's a positive message from the governor.
What we can say is the storm was significant, but thankfully this was not the worst case scenario.
Good afternoon. We are glad you are here with us. I'm Alex Whitler. Hurricane Milton made landfall along the Gulf Coast as a Category 3 storm. At least 4 people were killed. Millions of others are without power. Some of the most dramatic video from Hurricane Milton shows winds ripping the roof off Tropicana Field, which of course is the home of the Tampa Bay Rays. And this is what the inside of the ballpark looks like right now. You can hardly even make it out. It's completely wrecked. It looks like shreds of toilet paper are dangling from the roof there, but that is the building's structure. Debris all over the field.
It's okay, Bubba. It's okay.
In Tampa, police had to rescue 15 people, including children, after a tree crashed through their roof. Police put them in their cruisers and took them to safety at a shelter. Here's Fox's Connor Hansen with more on what Milton left behind.
Search and rescue crews deploying across Florida, going door to door to check on people hardest hit by Hurricane Milton.
We're going to have crews out there doing additional rescue, search and rescue. We had, in a 2-hour time frame, we had over 900 calls to our emergency operations center about potential tornado activity.
Winds topping 100 miles per hour pummeled St. Lucie County, where officials say multiple people are dead after a tornado touched down. Forecasters say it's one of dozens that tore through the state.
The wind just went crazy. The tornado came in and all this happened.
The heavy wind and rain knocked out power to more than 3 million people. But Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says while Milton was dangerous, it was not the worst case scenario.
The storm did weaken before landfall, and the storm surge, as initially reported, has not been as significant overall.
Now, thousands of linemen and first responders are assessing the damage to power lines and bridges, and officials here want people to remain off the roads.
We need those roadways clear for electrical crews, fire crews, EMS crews, urban search and rescue crews.
She's been rescued. We just did this a couple years ago, so we're kind of used to it. But I was worried about her because she has early dementia, and she is stressing.
Can you give me the leash?
And my puppies and the cats, obviously. We've got a lot. We just didn't know where to go with all the animals.
We're turning our attention now to the rescues. That is video from one that happened in South Daytona, Florida. Emergency officials rescued 2 women and a few animals from a flooded neighborhood. And take a look at this new video that we received from our Daytona sister station. The damage from Hurricane Milton is clear from all that debris lining the streets. You can see the high winds blowing the palm trees there.
This sea foam is pretty crazy. Basically what the sea foam does is it's the water as it begins to interact with all of the waves and the oxygen in the air. I mean, I have never seen this much sea foam ever in my life.
That's what Daytona Beach looked like around 1:30 this morning. That's Fox weather reporter Haley Meyer. She was safely under a parking garage roof as she did that live report. And let's take a look at this new video that shows damage on Florida's Atlantic coast. It's jaw-dropping here. Fort Pierce in St. Lucie County was hit especially hard, first by tornadoes, then again as the hurricane moved across the state back into the ocean. Right now, emergency officials estimate the hurricane destroyed about 125 homes in that county, and they've all been destroyed. And a daunting situation for a St. Petersburg area family. A Fox reporter recorded this video showing a fire in the middle of the hurricane. Even worse, we've learned the home was flooded by Hurricane Helene not even 2 weeks ago. A power line that likely fell during strong winds was likely what started that blaze. Check out this video showing Hurricane Milton hitting Tampa International Airport. The fierce winds just kept slamming into the planes there, but Tampa got spared from a direct hit as the storm headed just south of the city. Airports in Fort Myers, Tampa, and Orlando are all closed. Most plan to reopen Friday. That's, of course, tomorrow. Officials say while they're closed for commercial operations, they'll be available for emergency aid and relief flights. Nearly 2,000 flights have been canceled today alone. Delta Airlines will help passengers affected by Milton by waiving the fare difference to rebook flights, so you won't be penalized for canceling. That's welcome news, right? Delta has also capped fares for new bookings. You can learn about the passenger help on Delta's website. In Lee County, Florida, crews are still addressing the damage Milton left behind. The storm set off a tornado outbreak and caused wind damage to multiple structures. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said so far Milton's storm surge does not appear to be as severe as predicted, but it certainly doesn't hurt to have taken every precaution possible. President Biden says Hurricane Milton and Helene victims will receive plenty of support. The administration says it's the worst damage since Katrina. The president says today Pentagon search and rescue teams are heading south. He also addressed misinformation about this storm and aid efforts, saying politically motivated misinformation is causing harm and confusion. And we know many of you watching right now are in town or in the Atlanta area, visiting from Florida, if you will, trying to keep yourselves safe from that storm. And that is why we are focusing not just on our local weather, but also giving you all of that information about what happened in Florida. Let's turn now to Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Doug Evans.
Listen, one of the things that we're going to be looking at for some time is the number of tornadoes that were spawned by Hurricane Milton as it came ashore last night. Take a look at this Fox 5 live Viper loop here. This is a radar loop, and it's right before the storm comes ashore. Already there are a number of tornado warnings. This is where the eye of the hurricane passes. Look how dry it is to the south, but this wind field encompasses all of this. And as these outer bands start to spin up, well, then we start to see the tornado warnings just kind of follow all the way to the eastern coast of the state. And that was a very dangerous situation, not only for those who were riding out the storm from Tampa south, but anyone where these outer bands touched. And that was just an incredible story yesterday as this started to come through. Another story here, the amount of rainfall, over a foot of rain in many places as it tore through this swath of the Panhandle. And so we're still dealing with the power outages. That's the story today. Look at this. If we zoom in here, the red area, that's 50 to 70% power outages. The purple area then, that's where the electricity is off to nearly 90% of the population in those counties. For us, well, we've got a beautiful day on tap. I'm kind of feel guilty to say it. 72 degrees right now. It's sunny. We're all going up into the mid 70s today, and that humidity is way down there. We are a little bit breezy with that wind out of the east-northeast at 13 miles an hour. Could see some gusts up into the mid 20s today. Here's a look at the rest of the area. Most of us are in the 70s. A few cooler spots, Griffin and Carrollton in the upper 60s. It was a slow ride out of the 40s for the North Georgia mountains today, but again, just a very beautiful day on tap, and this weather is going to stay with us all the way through the weekend. We do have a chance for rain coming up. We'll talk about that, as well as a cooler forecast, much cooler forecast coming up for us.
All right, Doug, thank you. We are getting an idea of whether Hurricane Milton is impacting the southeast Georgia coastline. Governor Brian Kemp issued a state of emergency for 38 counties in the area. It'll last until October 16th. The aftermath also hampered recovery efforts as the area deals with Hurricane Helene's damage. So with the sunlight out now, it'll be interesting to see what's happening down there. Of course, several communities across Georgia are still feeling the impacts from Hurricane Helene. Today, we should get a better idea of just how big of a hit the state's agricultural industry is taking. Some worry the losses could top $1 billion. Fox 5's Mark Teichner is at the state capitol now to explain.
This storm has taken a devastating toll.
An urgent plea for help for Georgia farmers who were devastated by Hurricane Helene.
I'm getting a lot of calls from farmers, and of course, man, there's a lot of heartbreak out there. They were already, our farmers were already struggling.
The Georgia Ag Department estimates a third of the state's cotton crop is a total loss. Nearly 30% of the peanuts are destroyed. 50,000 acres of pecan orchards are severely damaged, more than 200 chicken houses also damaged, and 4 million acres of timberland have been impacted. Senator John Ossoff fears the total loss could top $1 billion.
The damage assessments are ongoing, and we won't know the full toll until that has run its course.
34 Georgia politicians sent a letter to House and Senate leadership demanding federal aid. It's an issue bringing together both sides of the aisle, from Senator Raphael Warnock to Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Georgia is always better served when elected leaders in both parties put aside their partisan differences and do what's in the national interest and in our state's interest.
Mark Teichner, Fox 5 News.
New at noon, we've just learned Ethel Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy's widow, has died. Her family says she had been hospitalized after suffering a stroke in her sleep. That was a week ago. Ethel Kennedy was 96 years old. A sweet reunion for a Metro Atlanta family after a 2-year-old boy who wandered away from a Chamblee apartment overnight was found safe. This is welcome good news to report this afternoon. And the Pink Awards will return. We'll have more on the star-studded event that aims to shine a light on breast cancer survivors.